Hey everybody, welcome back to the House of L. I'm Derek. We are back for our second part of discussion of Superman with two people who had to be here.
Yes.
I don't like the way I said that.
Two people who genuinely love each other.
Two people who
Had some spare time. People with time to kill and nothing to do.
Two people I found in the alley, gave $5 and said, "Come on, Luke Bugg, Steve Glosson." How are we, gentlemen?
Well, I'm good. I'm great after that wonderfully charming and flattering introduction, Derek. It's very nice.
Two
And I'm
people.
Steve.
There's two guys off the street.
I went through my entire phone. I landed on these two.
The two numbers that hadn't blocked me, they are here now.
Forget the rest. We went with the best.
Oh,
we got
now
you
he's
two.
back.
There
Thank
we go.
you.
How we
I'm
doing?
honoured just to be on the same chat room / stream internet thing that
Chat
this
room.
is. As you can see, I'm a man of many words, and none of them ever work.
Steve?
Derek.
Okay. So,
I said, and I'm Steve.
I know, I heard you.
Okay.
That was my bit.
I'm not as eloquent nor loquacious as the Geek of Steel.
Ooh.
I'm intimidated by his
They
presence.
make a cream for that.
I've applied it.
No, okay.
Oh, it's like nothing's changed, boys.
It hasn't been that long, but we
It's not
haven't.
at all. It feels like
gotten
it.
we haven't gotten to discuss Superman. And Steve, after Steve saw it, we had a phone call.
Yes.
I recorded the phone call because I thought I'm going to use this, and then I couldn't find where the phone call recorded to.
Huh.
So
Okay.
Apple,
Was it on your
get on
phone?
that
Was it on
somewhere.
your phone?
It
Yeah.
exists somewhere. Well, there we go. We can.
No,
track
it's
that
on.
down.
It's on my rotary.
It's in the
Yeah, I mean
it's in
on
the
there. It's in the-
files.
it's in the cloud.
in the cloud
files.
somewhere.
It's in
Get
the
that
cloud.
back. Get that back. Well, run me through that conversation then. If you can remember, Steve, what was said on this phone call, I would love to hear it.
Well, Derek called me, and I said, "Hello.
And I said, "Hey, it's me," and you said,
Not again.
Who's this?"
"You said Jessica."
I said,
And
"New
I,
phone, who
I
dis?"
said, "No, it's me," and you said, "George." And I was like, "No, it's Derek." And you were like, "I told you never to call me here."
That's
Is this a burner phone you're calling me
Yeah.
from? What
Yeah.
is this? But yes, no. What was the conversation like?
It was my almost immediately out of the theater reaction, and Derek's between his second and third viewing reaction. I think.
No, that was between my fourth and fifth.
I love
I've seen
this,
it.
though.
I've seen it 10 times now.
10
Steve.
times.
Goodness
which is
gracious.
fantastic. Steve, how
How
many times
have
for
you?
yourself?
Yeah,
I've only been able to see it twice.
That's still
So-
good.
Yeah,
rookie numbers.
Yeah,
right.
that's
I know.
Bush
Look,
League.
I'm a bad fan.
Don't
get it.
There's no such thing as a bad dog or a bad fan. All right.
Well,
I know
we're
a
happy
few.
you could join us today, but I hate to see you go.
All right,
Yeah,
see you
thanks for
guys.
that.
Have a good one.
Thanks for your weak input. Thank you.
So together we've seen it 19 times.
I saw that teaser as well, so we can add 30 minutes onto that.
19 point
Something.
something.
Not good with the numbers.
19.25.
But yes, no.
Steve didn't like it coming out of the theater. He
No, I hated it.
He hated
Okay.
it.
I was absolutely disgusted with everything that went on.
Okay, and then the truth.
And then,
And then
And
out of the lies.
then I got over it.
And then the rest of the movie happened.
I'm going to touch some grass.
I did not like going out of the theater. I was wanting more.
Better.
I don't know. Where are we going with this, Derek?
Okay, well let me ask you this just
Okay,
out of the
you're the
gate.
moderator, you go
because Luke and I haven't talked either.
No. We've
Luke
shared
and I
thoughts.
talked.
but
We
we've
talked the day
we've
of the premiere. I mean,
we've
we've
not done a podcast.
texted, but we haven't gotten on the horn, and as it were.
So I'm excited for this.
Is that a phrase over there on the horn?
It's got several different meanings. You can get on the horn or you can get the horn.
Oh, well, listen, you better be careful then.
You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Another one. Thank you. That's it.
Is this the most jazzed people have been walking out of a movie theater since Rocky?
Which Rocky?
Look, you heard the stories back in the day. Everybody and their mother were like, "No, I ran home from the theater afterward. I walked out and I was too amped up, couldn't drive, had to run home after Rocky." I don't know if that's true or not. I wasn't alive. Steve, you were alive. Is that?
I was barely alive. I don't remember hearing those stories
You've never heard those stories?
that people were running out of the theater after Rocky.
Like not running out of the theater, but they were like, "We're gonna run home. I'm gonna
yeah.
Too much
being
energy.
Like
I'm
all,
too-
yeah,
I'm too
just
pumped
you know,
up.
I mean, sure.
But I know I've
it's a bad question to lead on. I asked two
No, no,
Rocky
no.
fans if this is.
I mean, there was no Rocky 5, but I mean, but come
Listen.
on. No, audience reactions. What I've seen from 7 screenings now, 6 of which were public. One was the press screening that I went to. It's been so Superman fan life affirming for me to see so many people come back to the franchise. New fans become fans of the Cape. Kids to be excited to see a superhero film, but that to be a Superman film, it's been beautiful to see. The merch, we've spoken about the merch. It's great that we're seeing that everywhere. Also not so great because it's been a very expensive couple of months. But for people to come out of a theatre and want to be better, to be wanting to be like Superman or be hopeful or be polite or be kind, it's surreal. I'm over that now. I'm just still excited and joyful that people are so into this movie and showing love for this character that we all love so much. It's been really, really beautiful.
I'm sure it's true for everybody. Obviously, mileage may vary, but I've enjoyed with each subsequent viewing seeing what the audience reacts to from showing to showing, what works, what didn't work as much in subsequent times. The first time, that room was so loud and so uproarious, and everybody was laughing and crying and cheering, and so I've kind of, that's been kind of the litmus I've put everything up against, which isn't fair because that was the premiere being what it was and everybody being amped up for that, but there's several things that get laughs every single time. There's several things that get awes every single time, or applause or cheers. And then there was one screening I went to and nobody reacted, and I thought, you all are dead inside. But most of them were just on their phones.
Ugh. Yes.
So.
Not a fan of that, which we should probably touch upon. But no, yes, it's so. My first screening was with sort of what we call the DC UK family, which is podcasters, journalists, lovers of DC and Superman, and great storytelling. So there are about 15 to 20 of us in this fantastic private theatre that was introduced by Mr. James Gunn, which was wonderful in itself. But the next screening was the UK premiere, the fan screening, and that was loud. There were certain scenes that I wanted to go back to and listen to again. I have done now. I've missed sort of some lines, and I went back and I was like, that's what they said, because
Right.
the fan screening was, there was screaming, there was cheering, there was applause when we saw the Superman logo. When that happened, I was like, okay, this is new. It's not just me that's wanting this film to happen. It was the whole audience, and it was, again, just to hear laughter and gasps of excitement and feeling the silence in those emotional scenes was powerful. And I wish that I could go back in time and have that experience again in a cinema, because it was truly what, to me, a cinema experience should be like.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I've thought several times, I'm like, I wish I could remember that first time so many things were happening so fast, and I wish I could retain some of that. I did remember sitting there, and once Peacemaker is on the screen, I never heard anything else that was said until we saw Lois in that scene, because everybody was laughing so hard
Yeah.
from his appearance that I never even got the dialogue until later screenings. Steve, were your screenings?
Not at all.
Lively?
Not at all.
No.
We had small town Georgia screenings where I was at, which meant people showed up and watched, and they enjoyed, like, there no fanfare. I went the first time I saw it was on the Thursday, prior to the release day or whatever.
Yeah.
And went with a friend of mine here in town who's a big Superman guy as much as I am, and he had his sons with him, and it was funny because his younger son was sitting next to me, wanted to sit next to Mr. Steve. And so when I sit down, I'm like, "Are you pumped for Superman?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What do you mean, yeah?" I'm like, "He's the greatest hero of all time, is Superman." And the kid says, "I like Batman." I'm like, "Well, you can leave.
At least
You can just
it's
you can-
Spider-Man.
Yeah, you can just leave." And so when it was all said and done, I'm like, "Well, what'd you think?" He's like, "Superman's pretty cool." So
Ooh, I'll take that.
and,
I'll take that.
and there were conversations that I had with strangers upon leaving the film, leaving the movie. I bumped into someone that I recognized was in there. I was in another location, and it was about 10, 15 minutes after we left, and I said, "So what'd you think?" And he was stoked about it. Everyone that I've spoken to went back and saw it again with my wife, and she really enjoyed it. And I've not spoken to anyone who just doesn't like it. Everyone that I've spoken to that's seen it is kind of on the same boat. Like, man, this was good. And the word fun keeps coming back.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. It was enjoyable. And then, and I know we'll break down everything and get into all of our intricate thoughts and everything outside of just the experience of it all. But like, by and large, it is nice to have just seemingly across the board positive reaction to a Superman movie, because we didn't get that with Superman Returns. As much as I love Superman Returns, we didn't get that with Man of Steel, and because they wouldn't hold the camera steady. And, and so now we've got this, and there's so many things that I like about this movie that made me realize what has been lacking, even in Marvel stuff, all the way back to Iron Man in 2008. There's some things that have been lacking in superhero movies that, for whatever reason, they found there was a code that was cracked, I feel like, with Superman.
I'll jump back in.
Yeah, I'm talking so that someone would. Yeah.
No, I thought there was more there.
When you talk, Steve, I just get lost in the voice and
thank you.
how you describe the scenery, as it were, as like reading a book. I'm there with you.
Oh,
you are a
okay.
Tolkien. You are a walking Tolkien, sir.
I don't believe that. Thank you.
Well, you can believe what you like. I'm telling it, so you listen. I would have loved to have seen this film with the three of you. I would have loved to have been there and to...
Is there somebody else here?
I count as two. I'm big enough. I'm so huge. I'm two people.
Which one?
The three of us. Us.
Okay.
All of us. Us all.
You're an asshole. You're...
Hey, he might be your soul singer, but he's not our soul singer. What was that about pheasant pluckers? Anyway, Boosies, he's back. I was waiting for that moment. But yes, as I said, going back, if we could go back in time and watch this film again for the first time, it's one of those things, if that's how you can describe a film or a book or a moment in time, that's a win for me. To say, I want those feelings again. Like that moment when you ride a bike for the first time or you do something exciting, your first roller coaster. This moment of having that for us, for our Superman, we may not have had the chance to witness that in a cinema experience before. We've had glimpses. We've had moments where we thought the audience is going to love this as much as I do. And we've had glimmers of that, but nothing like this, just absolute tsunami of hope that has come out from this film, where people are talking about wanting to be a better person, talking about how they feel about superheroes again, how they would want to sit back in a chair and see the family footage of their loved ones, like Superman did at the end of the film. The amount of memes that have come from this film now that have just been positive and not mean or hurtful have been so beautiful to see. And that's down to the storytelling. That is down to Superman being this fantastic symbol of hope and kindness, but strength as well. This film gave me the Superman that I didn't know that I needed, but has always been around. So it's why I'm again still looking forward to going back and seeing it time and time again, watching it when it's on TV, finding out about that director's commentary, which would just be amazing. Because when I was in London, there were 3 separate Q&As with James Gunn. So he introduced it at the fan event. There was an HMV Q&A and the Q&A before our screening. The answers that James and Peter Safran gave were different each time. Even though the questions may have been similar, the answers were different. But what came out with each answer was just the love that he has got, not necessarily for Superman, but for the art of storytelling and what a character can make somebody feel when it's given to the audience in the right way. And I will be forever grateful to James Gunn for bringing Superman back to the masses in such a powerful way.
Yeah,
I have. I've thought, with each little bit of time, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hone into certain aspects this time around. I think I said in the last episode there was one where I was like, I'm just gonna focus on the score. I know the score backward and forward already because I've listened to it for nothing else for nonstop for the last month. But I'm only gonna pay attention to the score. Or I'm only gonna watch the background actors this time around and not what's going on in the foreground or stuff like that. And I've been able to pick up on things that I would have missed otherwise. But at the same time, I find myself getting lost into the movie again each time that I forget what I was supposed to be focused on. And like the last time I went, I was like, all right, I'm going to actively look for aspects of Jimmy Olsen being a photographer this time around because there's outside of context clues, there's no real blind sight to him being a photographer. And there's like a disassembled camera on his desk. And I noticed that maybe the second or third time around. But I did notice this last time that his cubicle does say photography on the side of it. And I was like, all right, well, I'll take that.
That's fine.
That's good.
Did you
his storyline has to do with photos. So that
there's cameras involved.
There's cameras involved, yes. So that to me, I feel he should have gotten to share a byline with Lois on that one, but what have you. So that was one of those things. So that I was editing that video I sent you yesterday, Luke, and that was of the Smallville thing, and Skylar's holding a camera in his thing, and I was like, oh look, they gave him a camera this time around to make it show that he's a photographer. Yes. I get it. Are there things? I'm going to ask Luke this first because I know Luke is Mr. Positivity all the time. Are there things now that 7 times out you still wish were like, I would have done this differently. I would have changed this. I would have not done this.
Like you said, I was going back each time thinking, right, I've seen the film now. I know nothing can get spoiled for me. So let's just go back with the trusty notebook and make some notes. Let's focus on the story. Let's focus on the music. Let's focus on the set pieces. Maybe some of those Easter eggs that I might have missed the first few times around.
Sure.
I'm still spotting new ones and being told about others.
Like the Mr. Handsome picture.
Yes, that's the first one that I saw. I was like, I need to know more about that. Why is that there? And now that James Gunn's waited a few weeks to reveal that, it's absolutely spot on why he kept that as a secret, and I love that to pieces. But like you said, I couldn't help but just go in there and just being taken out of the moment. I was given that escapism time and time again. I was just told a story time and time again and loved every moment. But saying that, there were a few little things that I would have maybe have liked to have been done a little bit differently. I think when we came out and talked about it a few times, we mentioned how the fact that we don't get many moments with Clark Kent. We don't get that. We don't get the iconic shirt rip. There was no hint of a phone booth or a quick transformation. But I certainly found it harder to find things that I was even slightly negative about than the things that I absolutely adored. I would have liked, though, like with Jimmy and the camera, I wanted more Daily Planet I wanted more journalism. We were promised a lot of journalism in this film, and we did get a fair amount. There was a great little montage at the end with like a snippet of Perry White, which was wasted. We needed more Perry. But I understand with films, times have to be kept to, to a very strict order. And as you said, we've got that director's commentary coming soon. Who knows? Maybe we might get extended footage. I know we are now of that sort of Vine and TikTok generation where sometimes it might be hard for an audience member to stay honed in on the screen. For me, James Gunn was worried about that Lois and Clark scene in the apartment. For me, I could have had hours of that.
Yeah.
That chemistry and that fire and that passion that they both had. And the speed of it all was going fast and going slow, and I could have lived in that moment for days. But it's small things that would have made this film better for me. What I loved about the fact is just that this film gave me so much joy, and almost as a Superman fan, this film was like, it gave me a nod and a wink. It was like, Luke, this one's kind of for you, mate. Even though that's very selfish, I can't see myself ever being a gatekeeper. I was like, this is for the fans. But it still hit new fans in a fantastic way as well, which was just beautiful for me.
Steve, what about you after 2 viewings? Are there things that have stuck with you now, or things that you've let go of or changed up on after the fact?
Well, I agree with Luke. First of all, let me apologize. I turned my volume down because some fool has come and rung my doorbell and knocked on my door, and my dog is now going nuts. So there's nothing I can do to settle him down. So if you hear a dog in the background, just pretend it's Crypto.
The moment you miss James Gunn knocking on your door, Steve.
That's right. Probably, or the police.
Sting.
Those were the options.
I didn't know he was still with them. But
a reunion?
What? Now there's the exclusive.
Derek, and you pointed out to me when we first spoke that, there was no shirt rip. We didn't see him change, and I missed that. I would have liked to seen Corn Sweat do that. But, the hope is there are other movies down the road where we'll get to see that kind of thing happen. Especially with as successful as this one has been, said it has been. The only things that I have issues with at all, and I've let them go, they're not like hang-ups or anything. I've not been a big fan of the of the Superman shield the way it is. That's just me. But I'm not mad about it. None of this stuff am I mad about. And I do feel like, as much as I appreciate the use of the John Williams theme throughout, it almost got overused. It got just about every opportunity they had to play those those 3 notes they did, and I don't know. I just felt like I felt like Ottman in Superman Returns used the Williams score a little more deftly than it was used here in this movie. That's all. I'm not, again, not mad about it, not upset. Derek's got the big Jarrell head going on at me right now, but
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
I just wanted you to be able to look me in the eye when you said all those things.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Again, it's not something I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I just found it a little bit distracting. That's all. It did not ruin the movie for me. It did not mess it. Like, if you're asking me quibbles and bits, here they are. They're just little things that have not been bothersome, to a big extent at all. They're just, it is what it is kind of thing with me. And so I will say this, that the only other thing is, man, I'd like a movie that's just Superman. As much as I enjoyed Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific, and I guess Hawkgirl was okay, man, I want just a Superman movie with, his general supporting cast. I understand what we're doing. I understand why we're doing it, and I don't feel like those characters were necessarily shoehorned in. But I don't want anyone to be able to say, well, Mr. Terrific stole the show in a Superman movie. And there was a lot of that because of the one Yondu scene on the beach. There are a couple of James Gunn tricks, that I noticed as well. And I'm not a smart enough movie watcher viewer to kind of notice these kinds of things. So if I notice them, I feel like they're a little too standoutish. And one is the on the beach scene with the Mr. Terrific. It really felt like Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the arrow. You've got the music, so it's a James Gunn thing. The other is I love the end with him looking at the footage of his life with his Earth parents and that sort of thing. I thought it was a beautiful scene and it was wonderful. It was just, I guess, the camera work and the music that was playing, the Iggy Pop, really felt the end of Guardians 3 to me when they're having their little dance party there in nowhere. And so there are just some little things that felt like, okay, because generally I don't notice stuff like that when I watch a movie because I'm just being entertained by it. But outside of that, like, I don't know that I have any other real quibbles unless someone points them out to me. And it's nothing that makes me angry or where I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, it's not a shaky cam thing for me that ruins the whole thing. It's not, why did Superman go spy on this family? It's not, there's nothing like that there. It's just very much, well, I noticed that. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Because the movie was so joyful and so much fun. And going back to what I said earlier, it was a comic book movie. That's the key that I think James Gunn used to unlock something that has not been done in a superhero movie till now. This felt like a comic book come to life. If you go to let me just go back in time. If you went into a convenience store, I don't know what you call them over there in the UK.
Supermarket.
No, a supermarket's different here. Supermarket's like a big place where you go get groceries. Convenience store's like a petrol station.
Corner shop.
Corner shop, yeah. You just walk in. You're going to buy some snacks. You're going to get a big gulp, and you look over on the magazine rack, and there's a few comic books. You grab a Superman comic book. You check out. You go get in the car. Mom and Dad are driving. You open it up, and the first page is a splash page, and Superman's in trouble or something's happening. And you realize, oh, I'm being dropped into the middle of this story. And so you read the comic, and throughout the comic, there are things that are said, and there may be an asterisk next to what's said, and you look down in the editor's note, it's like, see issue number, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And this felt like when you open up and you say, X amount of years ago, metahumans came about. X amount of years ago, Superman, Krypton blew up and the kid was sent to his homeworld, this sort of thing. 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first, 3 years ago, Superman showed up. 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first fight. And then boom, crash, bang, there he is. You've opened the comic and you've gotten the recap from the last issue and you're looking at Superman laying in the snow and you're like, good Lord, what has happened? And then you're just off to the races. I love that mess. And so so to push back against myself on what I said about Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl being there, the fact that you have these other ancillary characters that show up, you're being dropped into a universe where all this exists. You're being dropped into an issue of comics where these things are all happening, and so now, as the comic reader, well, who's this Guy Gardner guy? Well, I'm going to go read Justice League International or the old Justice League America stuff with him. Who's Hawkgirl? Oh my gosh, what a convoluted history this character has. Who's Mr. Terrific? Who's this Metamorpho guy? That's in this pocket universe. And so you start to try to learn all these things, and you get sent down these fun rabbit holes. And as much as I would like to see just Superman, I will say those other characters were in there in such a way that if there were properties readily available, if there was a TV show, if there was a movie that I could go to right now to find out more about these characters, I would do it. In the same way, in those old days of reading comics, if I had the opportunity to go find that comic, whether it be at a comic shop or another convenience store or the supermarket or whatever, I would go to the spinner rack and see if I could find that comic I'm being directed to. There's no other movie that's really done that. Even Marvel, when it started to connect everything, kind of held your hand as everything was connected until they got to the end and they couldn't really hold your hand anymore. You just had to know what had come before it. This really, this really had the sense, and I guess Ang Lee tried to do it with the Hulk movie where he did the different transitions that looked like a comic book, but that just was like a cheap trick to me. This was a narrative choice that where the comic pages come to life in a lot of ways. And for me, the kid who read comics from the time he was 10, 11 years old, right on through, to adulthood, that mattered for some reason to me. It really did. And so that just this the way the story's being told. The only other, I guess, to come back to the original question, the only other thing I have a real issue with, I guess we're going to get into spoilers and everything, is, and
I haven't seen it yet, so if you could
not a real issue, but the only thing that kind of bothers me, makes me tilt my head like a dog when it hears something weird, is the characterization of Supergirl, leaning on kind of the Tom King arc of stuff where she was that way, and I'm just like, the part of me that so sees her as that perfectly innocent individual, doesn't like that. The same way with like the Jarrell and Laura stuff. I'm like, but that's so. The thing about that is that's so easily fixable. And I know James Gunn has said the message is real, but if I've got a story in mind down the road to change things up, I'm also going to tell people, oh yeah, the message is absolutely real. Like, and if it's real, it's real. If it's not, it's not. It works either way. But the Supergirl thing is kind of a surprise, but I like where that could go. I like the fact that you can end up with a Supergirl who goes through a character arc of trauma and resolving her trauma to become just a wonderful hero. So I'm, anything that I have an issue with, I'm coming back with it with like, yeah, but it's cool. It's all right. I can see this. And so because I just liked it overall so very much. Like it has been, my favorite superhero movie in a long time. Like I've seen Fantastic Four, and this still edges out Fantastic Four for me. These are two properties that I absolutely love, and I am, because of my Marvel child proclivities and the love that I've had for Fantastic Four, almost as long as I've loved not quite as long as I've loved Superman at all, but there was a chance that the Fantastic Four was going to be my jam this summer, and it really turned out to be Superman. And that's great. I'm perfectly happy with that. But
me too.
But yeah, I think narratively James Gunn did something that no one else has been able to do with a superhero movie, and that is, hey kids, here's comics. Check it out. And to me that makes it fun.
And that's what for me, that is what it's all about. There have always been that sort of situation like, oh, if you like this story, then go ahead and read issue 17 or go back and wait for this issue to come out. The promotion that I've seen, especially here in the UK, comics have been
Is that
everywhere.
where you live?
There you go. That's the accent finally comes out.
There it is.
What do you mean you're not German?
Throw another shrimp on the bar.
Mate.
I thought you were Canadian.
Sorry, A.
But
no, I went, so on opening day here in the UK, I went at 10:15, 1:30 and 7:30 in the evening. And here in UK cinemas, one particular brand, other theatres are available. View Cinemas did this thing called a hero screening, where if you got your ticket and it was sold out, you got a free comic. And it was All-Star Superman. So it's a story that a lot of us know, but on the front cover it was sort of a variant, and it was David Corenswet as the artwork. I, of course, got there straight away. I was like, I need to get this comic. Let's get my ticket sorted out. Took the girlfriend. She loved it. I got her comic. She doesn't know about that. That's fine. Keep one to read and one to display. Don't tell her. But as the film, we were waiting for it to start, there were people there in Superman T-shirts and capes and having fun. And I was, even though, yes, I do love to chat, I don't always jump out of a comfort zone too easily with new people. But I was like, other theatres and merchandise is available. But I was speaking with people that I've never spoken with before about this film, being excited for Superman. And there was one moment when everyone was sat down waiting for the trailers to start. everybody around the place was reading a comic, and I was like, if Jerry and Joe could see this,
Yeah.
that was for me. I was like, this is what I love to see. And we know that James Gunn has sort of given so much credit and homage to artists and writers throughout the film. But to see people wanting to go out and read comics and ask me for more recommendations about, look, I know what comics are good, but I've got a young child. What comics should they be reading? They want to learn more about Hawkgirl and they want to read more about Supergirl. I was like, well, maybe don't start with Women of Tomorrow. Don't lead in with the heavy stuff straight away.
Yeah.
But for people to be talking about comics and in return putting more money into that universe for the writers and the artists, and for them to get recognition and thanks, it means so much to me as a fan of the comics as well as the films. It's been beautiful to see that, and to people go out and buy more comics and want to learn more about this character. We've not seen that before. I've even seen some cinemas where they have spinners in the lobby where you can go and buy a comic afterwards. I was like, that's how you do it. That's genius, because you're going to get kids like saying, I want to buy that. I want to read what else they've done. I've seen this starter. Let me see what else they can do. Well, it's beautiful.
And you just locked in on something that I think is very, very important for any superhero movie moving forward, and what should have been important in the past, and that is kids locking into this stuff, kids getting into this stuff. You know, I'm pushing 50 years old, and my time with these things has passed in a lot of ways. I was introduced to superheroes as a kid through cartoons, through comic books that were accessible to me. And for the past 15 years or more, you know, I don't know that there are comics that I could go to friends who have kids and put in their kids' hands and be like, yeah, this is safer than read, that are modern, because everything has been geared toward the adult reader in so many ways. This movie sets it up so that, hey, you can bring your kids to this. My personal proclivities are, there was some places where there was language in this movie that I didn't necessarily care for. But what I love is you've got a Superman who never utters a cuss word. He is what the hey, dude. You know, he's very much gosh golly. You know,
gosh and gollies, love that.
And the thing is, it's like you don't have to give.
Now, he repeats a word twice, but
in closed doors,
or does it get repeated to him? He's like, that annoys me.
Well, then he says it also in the Pocket Universe.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
I didn't think
when Lex shows him the monkeys, he goes, "Here's my monkeys farming."
Yeah, but he's kind of mutters it under his breath.
He's in the corners.
Yeah.
Hashtag super. yeah.
But he doesn't. But publicly, he never swears. You know, even into the fortress. What the hey, dude? And I just love the what the hey, dude, because to me that also feels like a shout out to one of our other favorites, Derek, Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Amen.
But this movie is structured in such a way that you don't have to give someone a more modern Superman comic. You can give them something from the 70s or even from the Silver Age and say, here you go. This might interest you. You know, this is just a good Superman adventure. Yeah. And I think that's something that, man, just moving forward, I think people could really creators could take a real page out of that book. But on the same, and then on the flip side, if you want that edge, if you want a little more edgy, then watch Peacemaker. Then, go watch Creature Commandos. Go see but these big tentpole moments need to be accessible to all ages. And I think that's one of the things one of the other things that I just love about this is it truly is. And there's something else that happens that I heard of people complaining about, Derek, and I want to run this by you because this involves you and me. And something, a memory that I have of us.
Okay.
And it's when Lois gets in the terrific bubble or whatever it's called, and is going to fly it.
The T-Craft.
The T-Craft, and they're on the Daily Planet.
I'm down with that.
I mean, I don't know what you call it. But
circles.
They're spheres. They're T-spheres. When she's flying the T-Craft away from the Daily Planet, but she's also writing her story, and Jimmy's over there writing down everything she said.
Sure.
I heard someone's like, why couldn't Jimmy fly it, or why couldn't Perry fly it, and Lois just get over there and write her story? And I was like, you don't understand. She'd already flown it once.
Yeah.
And this is what reporters do. There was a night where we were driving from Tupelo, I believe, over to Starkville or Oxford, maybe, when I was visiting with you, and and a storm was coming through or something, and you were getting all the information. You handed me your phone and said, "Here, type this as I say it."
Yeah, yeah.
And you were
I remember this.
dictating
I remember this inherently.
You were dictating me the story so that I could type it as you were driving, and you could get it sent to the paper. This is when you were still working for the paper. And I said, "That's totally real life. I've done that. I've done that." We weren't driving. We weren't driving the terrific bubble or anything, but it was close.
Close to it. I love that. What was the story? Can you remember what the story
was? Just about
Derek?
a storm that was coming through.
I mean, I fully remember what it was. I mean, I hate to I'm not making light, but
I think somebody died in a storm.
Two people. A tree had fallen on top of a car and killed two people in this storm, and we were in the middle of the storm as well. Had been covering something, and yes, I was on the phone with the police chief and getting information and was dictating it to Steve while I was driving. Yep, 100%. That's true.
And that's, who knows if James Gunn has been in the same situation, but that is why
he was in the car with us.
He was in the back seat.
He's in the back seat. He's there with a pen. I'm having this. I'm having a bit of this. One of my projects.
I don't know when I'm going to use this, but I'm going to use this.
It's going to come back.
But yes, and Lois had, again, she'd already thrown the terrific bubble. But it's moments like that where the press and the journalism came through. I love that moment when Perry got all the crew together, said, "Come on, let's ride out." But I would have liked a lot more Perry in that film.
I was expecting this is something we didn't get to talk I didn't talk about in the last episode. I was expecting so much more Planet stuff, specifically due to the marketing, because I felt like they utilized so much of David's Clark, mild-mannered Clark in marketing, and so much of the shots of the planet. And now I've pretty much gone with the theory that the reason we saw so much of that is because that day that so many of the journalists went to visit set was because they were filming in the planet that day, and that's why we've seen so much roll out.
Or maybe we might get extended editions, or
I feel like
so.
I feel like I've got something cooking that I'm excited to drop later this week, but I think it is such a fast-paced film. And in some ways, I really respect that, credits notwithstanding, you're out of there in under 2 hours. I mean, it's like an hour 58 without credits. It moves so fast. My complaints that I had and that I've really let go of are from stuff that we didn't get, be it from a lack of time or breathing room or what have you. I've said the shirt rip thing. So it's not so much, I haven't so much complained about things that did happen that I didn't like. It's the stuff that I felt like we could have had and didn't end up getting. I've let the shirt rip go. I still don't fully agree with Mr. Gunn's statement that he does not wear the suit under his clothes. But
I didn't know that had been said.
Yeah, he says he doesn't wear the suit under his clothes.
Well, that needs a change.
There we go. Bring him back. Bring him back. Yes. I wasn't big on that.
He said he keeps it in his briefcase, and I was like, all right, we'll talk about that at a different.
But see, that's Iron Man. Iron Man carried his suit around in a briefcase.
And I've let it go. And I even said in the last episode, I'm like, even if we had gotten a Fleischer style tug at the tie, ducked in the planet closet, and then him flying out the window, I'd let a shirt rip go for that. I think why I expected the shirt rip so much is we were putting so much importance on that shield in marketing that you fully expected that to be a moment. To the point that when they did the suit reveal, and I'm thinking about this because we just had the Spider-Man suit reveal yesterday for the new one, and I applaud both of you Spider-Man fans listening for being excited about something like that, because I look at it and I'm like, that looks just like the last one did to me. But whatever.
I mean, the eyes are a bit different. The eyes
sure
are a bit
they
different.
are.
I didn't see it. What are you
Coming
talking
from the
about?
world of the optical, the eyes are a bit
Well, they
different.
pretty much had to get out ahead of it because they're filming in Glasgow, I think,
Yeah,
or they're in
and
Scotland.
Scotland, and they are right on the street. There are it's like a parade. The amount of
Yeah.
people that are filming tanks blowing up yellow taxis in Scotland.
But it's New York. Like they're just doing it for the tax break in Scotland, I guess. But
There is a bit. Well, they filmed some Indiana Jones here in Scotland. There are quite a lot of older buildings up Scotland Way that are like classic New York architecture. I went to Scotland last year and did some fantastic walking tours, and you do notice that sort of old brick front and the architecture up the top. There are quite a few gargoyles in London as well, which is nice. That, given the right amount of lighting and completely different audio recording, would make you believe that you're not in Scotland.
right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I joke.
Spider-Man again.
I like Spider-Man too. I'm not negating
I'm glad.
anything. And I'm it's hypocritical of me because if you showed me I'm sure I've done the same thing with Superman suits, but they got out in front of that because there were going to be so many people taking pictures on the set and everything, so they wanted to reveal the set or reveal the suit.
I didn't know there was a suit reveal yesterday.
Yes, it's just him in a warehouse.
I've seen some fantastic edits today.
Wait, you mean they did something in a warehouse?
Yeah, they've never done that before, have they?
Yeah,
in a
no, not at all.
soundstage or whatever.
And a chair? What's that about?
Yeah.
But no, it was the ending to the last Spider-Man film where he's got that speech where he's talking about all of his friends and family forget who he is. But they used Last Son from the Superman soundtrack. And I was like, now this scene feels more emotional because it's got some
That
other,
looks
not better,
good.
music behind it.
Yeah.
But it's better.
Well,
It looks very comic book accurate.
I don't even remember where I was going with all this now. When I
You were talking about the shirt rip and
Shirt rip.
started this.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
shield
fully
day.
expected that to be how much in the same way they revealed Pattinson's bat suit in advance with Giacchino's score, and Reeves shot that in the red with the reveal of the suit and everything. I was expecting something like that for Superman. That's ultimately not what we got. And I still, even as the film ended, I was like, okay, surely there's a shirt rip here in the coda or something, or something to end on, and there wasn't. I've let it go because I don't need it. I don't even know where now, thinking back, where it would fit in, really, because once Tuesday night hits in the film, he's Superman for the rest of the film,
Yeah.
other than at Kent Farm.
I cleaned your boots. I'll get them for you.
Yeah.
Now, what were your thoughts, guys, on Mar and Pa Kent? Because I've heard some things online that are a bit negative about them and their geographical location. I adored them.
I adore them, and I think anybody who has an issue with it is someone who did not grow up in those
rural
surroundings.
America.
Because I think I told Steve. Well, Steve actually didn't care for them
No,
or
that's not
the first
true.
night. You
No.
said you felt it was overdone a little
I
bit.
said my friend said they were a little too country bumpy.
Oh, your friend said that.
yeah, but
Your friend.
no, I do have friends.
I know you have friends. I'm not negating that. I just felt like you told me
No,
I wasn't really.
No, I didn't say that
Okay.
But no, I
said-
loved them. They
There's
were
no proof of
fantastic.
it, so I'm going to have to side with you.
because I thought it was absolutely great that she's sitting there on the speakerphone with him and saying, "Your dad said this." He's like, "I heard."
I was like,
My
I
mum,
can
yeah.
find 40 people right now I know.
And
like
my mum
that.
does that.
Yeah.
And it's like in very public situations as well. You've got cream for what? It's just- yeah.
I think the issue that people may have is they are not. It's not the idyllic farmhouse,
Farmhouse.
thing.
Yeah.
It's an actual ranch home. It's an actual house on a farm. It's the kind of place that I spent a lot of my time as a child. We even said this
Same.
during the when the previews and all came out, Derek. I said I love the fact that the Kent farm looks more like an actual place, and it is, I guess, right out of Georgia somewhere is where they filmed that.
Right out of Atlanta.
It looks
So-
delightful. That's a scene that it's one, I mean, I cried every time I've seen the film
Yeah.
in different scenes. That moment, anytime there's a dad element in a film, it gets me. But for me, when Lois is in that room and she sees Superman at his weakest, but with a loving family around him, and she sees all these elements from his past where he's trying to be human, trying to be accepted by this world that doesn't really know anything about him. I feel that's the moment when she thinks, actually, I too love him. I know he's told me that he loves me, but I feel it now. And that with the score and just, I've been trying to. There was a moment where I was out of my seat trying to look at I think a prom photo of Clark in the background in the living room, and there's these photographs on the wall. I'm thinking, I need to see that.
Yeah, I've been looking
I
at
was
him
like,
too.
I need to see him with like a big like puffy shirt on or a suit that doesn't fit him, because
I think there's one of him in a graduation cap, like
and
a
that's
cap
it.
and gown too.
And like in Superman for All Seasons, there's lots of photos of his.
Sure.
He takes Lana to a prom, I think, and he looks stupidly larger than Lana is. But I was like, this is a home. This isn't about Kent Farm or where he comes from. This is a home filled with love where Superman came from. This is why he is the way he is now. And then we get that choices speech, and I'm just a blubbering mess.
Well,
by
and
that point.
I think one of the things is like you look at the portrayals of the Kents in any media outside of anything, outside of comics or anything, and what you always have had is, Glenn Ford. You're one thing I do know, son, and that's you're here for a reason. And he's just he's that classic Hollywood, good looking older man, dad. You've got John Schneider in Smallville that we had for 5 years, before he was killed off, and he always had the right thing to say. But it was always intense. There was always a certain intensity to it. Even in Lois and Clark, like his parents were a little more down to earth, a little more homespun, but they also were still very much like these beacons of just kind of a steady place for him. I think the thing is Ma calling his dad old mushpot or whatever, just always kind of making fun of him for being such a crybaby and everything. It made them seem maybe almost too real, like she just picks on him and he takes it, but he also loves his son. And the fact that he sucked it up and dried up his little tears to tell his son, to give him the speech about choices and everything, I didn't have a problem with him. I was taken off guard by the Southern draws and everything else, but I wasn't. I absolutely loved it. I loved it from the moment I saw her in that one preview say, "I washed your boots. I'll get them for you." And I think one line that my buddy had a problem with was, "You better come look at what's on the box." And I said, "Don't you understand that generation of people still call that flat screen like the boob tube and
the tube? That's it. What's on the tube?
It's like there's no tubes in there, but they say we're going to go sit down in front of the tube. It's just the way it is. It's just the lingo that's ingrained in that person, that culture. So.
I love. If you look at, when you go in and look at the TV and turn to it, there's like VHS tapes.
Absolutely, yeah.
On the bottom shelf underneath it.
There's a picture frame on the wall, and I've got one downstairs where it's lots of different photographs in one frame in sort of little oval shapes. Yeah. I was like, I've got that. I've got a picture of me in that as a baby.
Yeah,
and it's something as simple as
that's
that.
Very 80s.
It's perfect for me. I was like, that's it, and that is. I love them as Ma and Pa Kent. I hope we get to see a lot more of that. But it was, for me, I wanted to definitely speak with you guys about that because I know you are both big Ma and Pa Kent fans. The negative comments that I have seen online, and they've been few and far between, they seem to be over the smallest details of things like that. And it's thinking, well, that again, it comes down to personal opinion, which is fine. But it's been nothing that takes the magic away from the film or made me think, oh yeah, actually, I don't like that. You've changed my mind about my opinion, which nobody has the right to do. But the magic of the film shines through. Yeah, the magic of the film shines through.
I don't think there's anything. I've enjoyed talking about my love of the opening sequence to anybody because I feel like most people have been like, I didn't really see it that way when I talked about it or anything like that. So but I've also said that on the show now twice. So there's no point in me retreading those steps because I have such a bad tendency to repeat myself, and I'm sure our listeners glaze their eyes over when I do that.
I don't think so. I don't think the listeners do that at all.
I think they love it when you repeat yourself.
Oh, well, I'm not going to.
If we can't repeat ourselves, then what have I been doing for almost 20 years?
That's
because
time is a circle.
that's all I do is repeat myself.
Or a
Everything
sphere.
that you hear on this show today, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll tune in to Geek Out Podcast, hopefully circa Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, you're going to hear the same D thing right all over again.
Well, that's not true because you're not going to have the same conversations going to come out of it. I'm having a very different conversation with the two of you than I did with William and Dane.
we never mention Bucky's or anything on our podcast when we're all talking together.
That's true.
We never talk
Never.
about the same
Never.
things, or Family Guy, or King of the Hill, or Superman.
What I'd like to do is springboard off.
I forgot King of the Hill's out. I got to watch. It came out last night, didn't it? Sorry. Sidebar.
Since we've been talking over Derek all day, I want to come back to something Luke said a minute ago about the room and all these things he tried to do to be human. One thing I haven't heard people talking about with this movie, and so here's your hot take from me.
Oh,
And it's one of the things that I didn't realize how much I appreciated until I saw an old trailer for the original Superman, the movie. And that is that Superman does not play the typical, they don't portray him as a typical Christ figure that appears in literature, you know. And I didn't even think about that until I was on a Superman high, and I'm sitting there the other night just bumping through YouTube, and there was a video that was like every Superman trailer ever, and they went back to the old serials and started there, and when you get to 78 Superman, it's the Jor-El voiceover. They're good people, Kal-El, they wish to be, you know, and for this reason I send them you, my only son. And then all these synapses started firing, like, you know, Richard Donner did talk about him being a Christ figure, and him and Mankiewicz really leaned into that, and when did that ever really begin? And everything since then in movies really has tried to, you know, has focused kind of on that to a certain extent, you know, right down to the pose as he's either stepping out of the ship, you know, in Man of Steel, or falling back to Earth in Superman Returns. And the thing they do here,
Literally on the cross in Smallville.
right? Absolutely, yeah.
Very subtle, that
And
was.
the thing that James Gunn does in this movie is he doesn't lean into that. He's an alien, sure, but even that situation that was so kind of the focus of Man of Steel, like, you know, are we going to turn him in or not? That plot device was quickly kind of taken care of. Like you said, Derek, it moves real fast, but at the same time, we never got this thing of, well, he's here to save us all. He just is human. He in the speech that he gives Lex, you know, about I make mistakes, I wake up, I'm scared, I do, you know, and I'm as human as anyone else, is just like, thank goodness, you know, that we're not looking to him to be a savior, we're looking to him as a hero. And I think there's a distinct difference. And I appreciate the difference. Not that I think it's sacrilegious, the idea of a Christ type figure is sacrilegious. That's something that's been in literature for, you know, 2,000 years. I just like the idea that Superman's a hero. And we don't have to, he's just a good dude. And he doesn't have to be something more than just a good, inspirational hero, you know, and because of that, something I found really interesting, and if you need to cut this out, that'll be fine. But something I found really interesting is there were some media outlets who were intentionally trying to use some of the themes of this movie to drag people on either side of the conversation into a political conversation. And this movie, you can't really do that. Like, I think they did a really good job of not putting any other agendas than, look how cool and great Superman is. Look what a kind individual he is. Look what makes humanity better is kindness and caring and helping and all of these things. And so while some people kind of got trapped in that and it gave this side ammunition or that side ammunition, I was so refreshed to see the movie just be Superman's great and be more like Superman, you know, care about that little squirrel that's about to get stomped on, you know, care about the little girl that's about to get blown up, you know, care about the big monster that's causing all the problems. Be kind, be good, be helpful. And to me, I think that that whole core of the characterization, the storytelling, and everything was refreshing and outstanding to me. It's one of the things that I love so much about this movie, and I haven't even gotten into like the visuals and the fun and the excitement and the adventure of it all. You know,
I kind of want to pivot there just a little because that's something I haven't got to talk to him about the show, and specifically wanted to ask you both about how much you enjoyed or disenjoyed, how much you enjoyed or did not enjoy the range of his abilities on screen this time around, because I know that's something we talk about a lot on the Smallville side of things, is how the super speed looks or how the heat vision looks, or, you know, when Returns and Man of Steel came around and changed, you know, how different the abilities look on screen there. I think I went back. Which viewing was it where I went through and I was making notations every time he did something? I don't know.
I was at 4.
I think after my second one, I was like, okay, he never used super hearing the entire film.
Yeah.
But he uses everything.
Everything else.
I guess argument could be made for telescopic vision, whether or not it's utilized or shown or not. But I think it was utilized. But everything else is on display.
Yeah, he's quite far away from the kaiju when he does that X-ray vision, so that might be telescopic as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
everything else
obviously
is there.
Strength, speed. It's really nice to see Speed cinematically. That's not something that they do a whole lot on the big screen with him. So it was good to see that. Of course, I also love when Superman uses his abilities for little things too. I mean, blowing the dog out of the way.
I was like,
was great. But
I would have paid to go back just for that one scene of him.
Yeah.
It was coming out of the ground. I was like, that's bang out of animated series. That's out of a comic. I've always wanted to know what the sound of that would be like, because it wouldn't be just a rumble. You would hear that crack and the pressure of the paving slabs. It was then the explosion out. But I love the fact that
Bugs Bunny tunneling.
It was hunting season back on. What I loved about the fact that when he was not necessarily flying to get somewhere in a real panic, in a rush, but you could see the look on his face that he was enjoying flying. He was having fun with it. And that, for me, is a huge part, because he must love to do that.
Look, that... Again, not to go back to that opening sequence, I could watch that opening sequence over and over. Please. And everything right up until the moment we see the Hammer of Baravia. I'm like, I could just watch this portion completely on repeat. But obviously, the flying that turns into the smiling, that turns into the logo.
Yes, please.
That turns into the Donner-esque, you know, the zoom out and the letters and everything. I absolutely love that. But yeah, you know, was talking in the last show about how the opening sequence is kind of his origin in a way. Like it is Gunn's version of the origin to me, the crashing to Earth and, you know, the
it's all there.
Being vulnerable and the construction of the fortress and, you know, emerging as Superman. Like it all still kind of takes place right there, and it even ends with him smiling at the camera and then, you know, flying off, much in the same way that 78 ends, that it's just all kind of there for you. But then I love the moments too where he's flying, and like obviously when he leaves Metropolis to fly back to the fortress, when Hawkgirl asks where'd they get the footage from, and you see him super speed off, and then you see him in flight there in a very panicky, erratic flight, trying to get back to Antarctica as fast as he can
through the different sort of weather zones as well.
That was affecting him.
Perfectly done.
You mentioned why do you think they went with Antarctica instead of the North Pole?
I mean, obviously that's been some way in the comics sometimes, and it goes back and forth. I don't know why this time they went with Antarctica instead of
North.
The North.
Yeah,
but
it was an interesting.
It didn't bother me.
It was an interesting choice. I guess it almost feels like it was to get that one line about it. He's got a whole fortress built in Antarctica, you know, and illegally, you know, just.
I love stuff like that too. That like. Yeah, makes perfect sense, but until it's uttered, I've just never really, you know, Lex being mad that it, you know, violates 10 different treaties and stuff like that he's got a secret Arctic base.
Hey,
and, you know.
Lex killed a guy. I mean, look,
Mr. Coach Klein.
for as fun and as hopeful as this movie is, Lex just put a gun to a man's head and killed a guy.
And played Russian roulette with him.
I mean, good night. And so you think and these are the kind of things I think about, because obviously you're thinking, we're geeks, and so we start thinking kind of down the road, what's next? And I'm like, well, obviously Lex will be out of jail because of this. I'm like, but he killed a guy and there were witnesses. Like, he literally just pulled in. The only defense they can make is he was in a pocket universe, not on American soil, and so that's non-extradition, whatever. But then you've got the whole kidnapping and illegal trafficking stuff with putting all those people in those cages and everything. And then you've got, it's just, I'm just like, Lex killed a guy. But then Hawkgirl committed a political assassination at the same time. Let's not forget that.
Yes, she did.
And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, I got to thinking about that the other night, and I'm like, well, gee whiz, this is a pretty violent movie when I think about it.
Yeah. It's a little dark in some instances. The shooting got me. When they killed Molly, I was like, that was a little shocking to me. Were either of you surprised that it ends with Lex being incarcerated? I did not expect that. I fully expected Lex to have his backup plan or have
I thought he would get away. There was a moment at the beginning that I thought they were going to come back to. I thought that there's been quite a few in some of Superman fiction, not necessarily comics, where Lex has been an absolute genius when it comes to the art of disguise and costumes. Sure. I thought he was going to be that dictator. I thought that when he undoes his button, I thought he's going to take a mask off. He's going to go through and he's going to turn himself back. I was like,
and
but he didn't. But I thought, that would have been I was itching for that to happen. It didn't, which I was a little bit sad about. But
Brian Q. Miller thought when we saw it, he was like, "Are they already doing Clayface? Are we going full in on this already?"
Straight away.
Yeah.
But when they said, get him to Belle Reve, I was like, oh, okay, he's arrested. Yeah. They're actually doing some actual prison time now.
On the plane going to Cleveland, I can't remember. One of the flights I've been on this month.
Many flights you've been on, busy boy. Yeah.
I watched Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I had not gotten to see it yet. Luke, have you seen it?
Not yet.
Okay. You care if I spoil?
Nah, crack on.
Too much of it? Okay. Steve, you've seen it though, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I fully expected that to be a similar ending to where, we've got Lex, and then it was, pull the curtain back, and it was, nope. I had this backup plan all along being orchestrated. Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the fact that Lois took down Lex. And that was,
good old journalism, classic journalism. Yeah.
Superman doesn't even save Lois in the movie. Lois saves Superman twice in this movie. And one of the things being, of course, through journalism. So I absolutely adored that her and Jimmy's work took Lex down. I just was shocked out of the gate that we've already painted Lex as this villain to the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he seemed to be so beloved in some ways.
Circles.
It sets up Lionel being able to come in and take back over Luthor.
There you go. It sets up Lionel.
Always.
No, and I mean, obviously, even I think about instances where everybody's known him to be evil. I think Public Enemies, like with Jeff Loeb and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, he was still a villain and then still became the president. Gee, I wonder where that, story, that's it's a little too on the nose these days or whatnot. But I fully, I accepted it. But at the same time, I was kind of like, I really thought they were going to drag this out because they keep talking about a Superman cameo in Peacemaker, and I think everybody thinks it's going to be Superman. I really thought it was going to be Lex all along until that ending happening. I'm like, no, it might be Superman now. Who can say? But I fully thought it was going to be a reveal of, no, I was doing this because X or Y or Z, and I'm on your side, America, and all this other.
I love Lex's motivations. It's just that he hates
land.
He just hates Superman and
it's land.
It's always about land.
I hate Superman and land.
Right. When it comes to him being against Superman, it really comes down to I'm envious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do all this stuff. I'm this person. I'm this smart. And here you come along, and all the attention's on you, an alien. And that's just classic. Like, this is a Lex that you could literally see is a bad guy, is a villain because Superboy blew his hair off in a chemical fire. Like, this is that level of Lex. And to thread that needle between the pettiness of a dude like him and his being a mad scientist, but also a billionaire, mogul businessman, is just an outstanding. It's just a nod to how great James Gunn and company handled things. Like, they handled stuff like that so deftly that I think 15 years ago would have been looked at as like, oh, what a cheesy thing. He's not a very well fleshed out villain. He's not, but I feel like they just handled it so well.
I think James Gunn recently said he wanted Lex Luthor to look at Superman the way that artists look at artificial intelligence, that they can do all these magnificent things with ease and make it look so good. Whereas Lex Luthor, with all his brain power and all his charm, he has never been able to reach that level of a hero or been given that recognition or been admired by anybody other than Mr. Handsome.
Holt killed it. I mean, he absolutely did a knock-up job.
That vein coming out of his head in the last few scenes.
I know I've said it again, I'm repeating myself, but it's just nice to hate a Lex.
Absolutely.
You always kind of love a Lex. Like, you love Hackman, you hate to see Rosenbaum go evil, you want him to be good because you spent so much time with him, and just out of the gate the minute he shows up on the screen,
it was despicable.
The lackeys are talking about whether or not there's been casualties and all this, we can't win them all, and there's all this other stuff, and then obviously he's got this whole battleship chess thing going with Ultraman knowing all the the cheat codes to take on Superman.
1A. What? Look, the fact that he's so petty that he put an ex-girlfriend who'd blogged bad things about him into his interdimensional prison, like, that's Lex Luthor. That's a Lex Luthor you hate. Yeah, it's just,
to him, it's no big deal, but to somebody else, it's incarceration.
Yeah, the ego on that guy, is just is out of this world. I love it. I love everything about it.
Lex tortured a dog last week. Jesus Christ!
There's quite a long pause there from Jimmy. It was quite
every pause from Jimmy was was long,
but it worked. But no, this was the first Lex for me that I hated, and that takes a lot. And as you said, we've always enjoyed the charm and the wit and the moodiness that is Lex Luthor, whether it be Rosenbaum or Hackman or anyone that brings something to the role. But as soon as we do get that Russian roulette scene, you're thinking, wow, okay. Yeah. And I think James Gunn said recently that there was more to that scene. There was more graphic, that there was more sort of, as he looked down, there was blood coming towards his brand new shoes. And he was like, oh, and he stepped back. Luckily, it was all very long shot and we didn't see anything too
you never
graphic.
See the body.
You never see the body.
It hits the ground.
That coming out of an IMAX speaker was a very, very loud bullet. That I think we all felt that.
Yes,
in that particular scene,
it was shocking, and obviously from a visual standpoint, but also just from the auditory, the noise that was made, and then Superman's scream, his groan that he lets out at the thought of Lex murdering somebody. God, man,
it was a
this
huge
movie.
turning point. It was a huge point. I was like, okay, right now, he's not just your regular villain. This is literally supervillain territory.
You just see how twisted and evil he is.
Yeah,
and that's and you want that out of a villain, but especially out of Lex. Were his henchmen all dressed the same? They all kind of had a uniform, didn't they?
They had uniform.
Luther Corp,
slightly
green.
The thing is like, hello, 66 Batman. Everyone's everyone in uniform. All the
next, it's all coming back.
Yeah, all the henchmen, and this is a Lex that you could imagine has a secret hideout in a swamp somewhere in Florida that just happens to look like Darth Vader's head. You could see
I hope
this,
so.
you could see this Lex suiting up and running the Legion of Doom.
Somewhere very humid.
Yeah, you could see that happening. Here are some things that I thought about as it relates to other Superman movies as I was watching this thing. One, the whole he's an alien and this is what's going on kind of reminded me of Man of Steel. Of course, that got focused in on the Brian Azzarello, Jim Lee run back in the
Yes.
day. But the whole obviously the fortress is its own thing, but it looked very it had the crystalline look to it as much as almost
Favorite fortress. It has become my.
Well, I love the fact that there's technology you recognize plus all the crystals and everything.
There's technology that's controlled by the crystals. So
Right.
like it's a technological console, but the power source is the crystals docking.
Second viewing, I was sure I saw Candor. Now, it wasn't. It was just some more crystals.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I need to get back in right now. Can I go to another screening to just double check my eyes weren't playing tricks on me? But it wasn't, sadly.
Okay, so
But
you've got the crystals that come from like the Donner thing and all. And
I was scanning for Kryptonian alphabet.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Like when his biometrics were on, I was.
Well, we got to hear
pushing
Bradley
people
Cooper
behind
speak.
me.
We got to hear Bradley Cooper speak in Kryptonian, so that was nice.
Kryptonese.
And then you had the whole video game aspect of Superman 3, where you've got people controlling basically
Yes.
the thing. And then when he reveals that Ultraman's a clone, he used a strand of his hair to clone him, a la Superman 4. The whole thing about Superman trying to stop war is right out of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
There's so many things out of Quest for Peace in this.
speech, they've got everything else going on.
Speech, the hair. I mean, Nuclear Man's suit and the Hammer of Bravia
there.
suit are very similar.
Yes,
Very similar.
So
okay, go ahead. Then I want to ask a question.
So I'm just saying, like, these are things that I appreciate because I don't know. Like, these are things that I would have to ask James Gunn. Did you intentionally put this in there as kind of a callback or almost a redemption for these type of themes that were in these other films? Because it feels like, it might just be an accident, but at the same time, just how the way that, like, when you watch the Guardians movies, there are so many little things in there that if you're just a super Marvel fan, you're going to catch that the regular Marvel fans won't.
Yes.
And I feel like this is, that's kind of one of his MOs is that he's going to do that, those little details and those little things, and just be like, we'll see if anyone catches it or not.
Nothing is an accident. The reason I think now that the first official image we got of Superman was that apartment scene with Lois and that mischievous imp. I think he said now that it's not Mix's Pitlick, but like we
It's
all
not,
know it.
yeah.
But that killed me a little bit.
Fifth dimension. So,
But
Yeah.
but that moment, why did he choose that scene? It was like because he just brushed it off. He's like, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's something completely different that you don't even have to worry about." It's
Yeah.
like such a James Gunn move to do something like that, and the way that he does, I say, the smallest of detail. It's all part of some puzzle piece, much like the huge corkboard that for some reason Jimmy thinks he has to take with him into the spaceship at the end. Yeah, he's got the red string there on a massive board. Let me bring this as well.
In case the planet was destroyed.
It's
The
all
planet
the
and the
evidence.
planet
Yeah,
were
it's all the
destroyed.
evidence.
Yeah.
But it's everything he does for a reason. But that is a very good question to ask him, Steve. And I hope one day you get to ask him that.
Hey, that night driving down the highway in Mississippi, Derek had all the weather charts right behind us in the back seat, so we could.
Because
So,
it was.
yeah.
He had all the charts there.
I kidnapped a meteorologist. And was
James,
driving
we
around.
kidnapped James Spann. Took him with us. Yeah, it was crazy.
I was going to ask you something, and now I don't remember what it was.
I hope that's the case, though, Luke. I do hope that nothing's there by accident. I hope that these things are there intentionally to kind of at least call back to the spirit of those things. You know,
Yes.
right down to Otis and Tessmacher and those sorts of things that are obviously pulled directly
Yes.
from Superman the movie, even though the characters are somewhat different. These things seem to be obviously there's the surfacey callbacks, and then there's those things that may be under the surface that I do hope are very much on purpose.
I think so.
Did Ultraman,
Yes.
once the reveal happens, What did everybody think of the reveal? Once the reveal happens there in the third act?
I think for David Corenswet, he loved it because there were so many elements from certain Star Wars scenes that he would have just loved the absolute mirror image of that. But it was okay. It wasn't... I mean, there were still sort of gasps of shock from around the theatre. And if people were also saying, who's that? Who is it?
I'm surprised at the amount of people who also thought it was somebody else completely.
Who?
Who thought? Okay, first of all, who
thought
did they think it was?
Another actor who has portrayed Superman
They
recently.
They thought it was Henry Cavill?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Even when they saw his face?
Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
I mean, at first glance,
I need to go back and see it again.
I didn't because I knew what was coming, but
and we both know what people look like.
Even there for a split second, I was like, okay, no, but
no, it's not.
But maybe no. And I do appreciate, and James, I don't think the camera ever really lingers enough on him for you to know it. He is not cooked long enough. His chin and his ears and his eyes misshapen, and so he's
Bizarro.
Is he yet? Can he speak, Luke? And you know I'm going to ask you this because I have gone back and forth on this about 100 times now.
There are points where there's not sort of a pause in the film anyway, where he wants to say something.
He can make noise.
He can make
groan.
noise. We know that there are grunts there. And we know for sure that, of course, with every experiment, there are versions that didn't quite make the grade. Much like there would possibly be other Mr. Handsomes, there could be other Ultramen and versions of this character. Like we get all the different versions of robots. There is one part I went back and got out of my seat to look closely. Do you know what hit when they have the fight at the end and he pushes him into the line of a vehicle? Did you see what that vehicle was? Was it a bus? For the first two times seeing it, I thought it was a train because Superman being more powerful than a locomotive.
Yeah.
I thought, is that it? But
it was a bus because Superman 2, he got thrown into a bus.
And Seinfeld.
Okay,
he kept ringing the bell.
You kept making all the stops?
I kept ringing the bell. I am Batman.
Okay, I ask all that to ask. So when he is the Hammer of Baravia at the beginning,
who is that voice?
We have the speaker in the suit later that Lex is speaking through, and that's how he's been getting all his assignments or whatever. So the Hammer of Baravia, you would think, is someone in the control room talking, acting as the Hammer of Baravia, and it not being Ultraman saying those words. But when Superman comes back from the fortress and Lex says he's back and he says, "You're 12 o'clock," or whatever, Ultraman turns around, or the Hammer of Baravia turns around and says, "Copy." Is that him talking or is it not him talking?
Oh, and says copy, the word copy.
He says copy, like copy, like I've got, okay, copy.
Yeah, the copy, but also he is a copy as well.
Yes, he's talking to Ultraman in the control room saying it.
Okay.
And he turns and says copy, and then they come at each other.
I was trying to notice when there's a scene when Ultraman walks into the Pocket Universe, and I was like, okay, I think this was viewing number 4. Is he walking the same as when Superman walks? Has he got that same Corenswet? Because he's got a certain strut with his legs and his arms. I was like, did they go as far as to put David in the Ultraman suit as well when he wasn't on set?
I was thinking that too during the Fortress when the break-in scene, how much similar, and I don't think he is.
But no, I think my favourite Ultraman scene is when Lex gives him the nod and he turns the light switch back on.
Turns the light switch on. I love it.
That is power.
I laugh at it every single time.
I was like, why are you not laughing at this? He's this ultimate being, and he's got him turning on the light switch.
That got a huge laugh at the premiere, followed by everything got a huge laugh at the premiere because it was the premiere. followed by the guy going, "They got this kryptonite stuff. What's it called?" And Lex has just got his head hung. It's called kryptonite. That,
There's that part that's one of my favorites, but there's also the other audio little sequence of where the briefcase locks and then the door opens and it's just a little.
That's so comic book. Steve was talking about that a minute ago, and I almost thought that same thing. That is such a 2x2 panel.
That is it.
Of one lock happening and another unlock happening.
I can see that go from
briefcase
door
closing,
open,
and Lois's apartment unlocking. I had that same thought.
and that is, as you said, comic come to life. It was beautifully done.
Yeah.
I would have loved, for whatever reason, be it Clark changing a light bulb and the room being dark, or while he was there fixing dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
But just for what I would have absolutely loved for Lois to actually smash the bat over whoever thought she was standing there, and it being him. Like that's one thing I was like, I kind of wish that had happened. That would have been a nice little. And then him being like nothing. What are you doing here? I'm making
Just
you
brushing
breakfast.
it off. That was quite the intimate scene. That one, I thought.
Oh, I love that scene so much.
Powerful moments, but
I hate that that's a risk. Like he talks about, it was a risk to do it 9-10 minutes. I know that originally it was 12, but a 10-minute scene of talking. And I'm like, it's not a talking scene. It's a kissing scene. It's a romantic scene. It's a fight. It's like 4 different sequences in one.
And all the moods as well.
But it's so important because you learn about their relationship.
Yes.
You learn about how he's been conducting business as a reporter. You learn about who he is as far as what he's willing to do and what he holds as valuable. Like his whole deal with the war was not, I'm representing the interest of the United States of America or any other country. I'm representing the interest of life. People will die.
That's it.
And you see there's a little bit of, I hate to use this word, but I can't think of a better one. There's a little bit of naivete when it comes to these nuanced political conflicts and everything with him. But what he sees is, I've got the power to do something to save lives. There's no reason this country should want this other country. So all I did was go throw some tanks around and scare the bejesus out of their president. And
the spikes were
they're tiny spikes.
Big, yeah. And so And so and I'm sitting there thinking, ooh, Superman, you got to know better than that. You got to know better than that. But at the same time, I'm like, go get him, Superman. It's a thing where there are nuances to what he's doing, and he needs to understand that. But at the same time, it's like, I totally get it, man.
Yes.
And so you learn so much. It's an important scene, and the fact, like you say, Derek, that it's a risk is kind of unfortunate because we left that era of movie making and storytelling where you could put 10-minute, 12-minute dialogue scenes that were compelling dialogue scenes on the big screen. Now that stuff is just kind of reserved for streaming or whatever. But man, those character moments and those moments, that's where you really get to see acting take place.
Yes.
Is in the dialogue. And golly, just from him sitting down and going, Miss Lane, it's. And he thinks, and the fact that he thinks it's going to be a walk in the park, and it's going to be, and she just goes straight into Lois Lane, hardball journalism, and he's kind of taking
does such a good job. She's such a good Lois.
When they're in the kitchen and you can hear him being ever so confident to his pitch just going higher and higher.
Sure.
We've all been there. It's fun.
She's so good.
But she is, because here's what she did so well. She went completely hard-nosed journalism without you saying, wow, what a jerk. Like, you totally get what she's doing, and you totally buy into...
She's doing her job.
And you totally buy into the type of person who has either been burned in relationships or is scared of relationships, that the fact they had a fight makes her think it's over, and he doesn't think it's over at all.
No,
it's just, it was just a fight. But also, he's the nice guy that doesn't want to continue to fight. So he's like, well, I've got to go, and God, I like, wow, the more I think about it, the more I love that little scene. It's just there's so much.
It's so well. And I love that too, much like the opening sequence is kind of still our little Diet Coke Junior version of a Superman origin tale through context clues and, just visually, that this is we still get Lois and Superman's first interview. It's not
not a
typical
rooftop.
Lois and Superman first interview.
Yeah, but it's still counts.
It's not I spent the night with Superman.
Right.
But he even still gets to the point where he still goes through the whole diatribe of I come from a planet called Krypton, which is gone now, and he does that whole thing. So like it's still their first, tete-a-tete, even though it's they've been
You mentioned
hooking up.
something.
How long have these two been hooking up? About 3 months.
That's it. But you mentioned something recently that I loved. It was a theory about Lois's necklace. Mm-hmm. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Sure.
Please.
A lot of people have it's funny to me because we've been doing this so long now that I take for granted when I see other people go all in on stuff that we were doing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And people making fun of us for doing it 20 years ago. Like, I never paid that much attention to anything, and now it's like every
hang on.
Dick, Tom, and Harry are doing the same thing. But people kept asking about Rachel's necklace that she's wearing, and because it's in I think just about every scene she's in, she's wearing it. A consistent piece of wardrobe, and I'm sure there's some more important meaning to it than Rachel. I kind of came up with this idea that it, housed a bullet casing or something from the first time he saved her or the first interaction that they had. If there was some kind of deeper meaning to it than that, and until I'm told otherwise, that's the story I'm sticking with.
Go with it. It's either that or something to do with Sam Lane, but I will go with that bullet where.
Yeah.
Much like the alleyway where we see Christopher Reeve stop that bullet from the mugging. I'd love if that was the case because it would be absolutely perfect. So that can be your question to James Gunn when you get to interview him about the movie. There we go.
Say that again. Sorry, I got distracted.
Oh, well, if you ever get to interview James Gunn, that'd be the question that you can ask him.
Sorry, I totally drowned out. Yes, that is a question. I've been thinking about. I've had a list of just. I'm sure you've kind of done the same thing, Luke. Like if you and I had the chance, like what would we ask? And there's stuff I've not seen other people ask. Everybody wanted to see better pictures of the mural. In the Hall of Justice,
got now, which
we've
great.
gotten now. Good for them. That was not. There was two things I want to see a better picture of. Well, three actually, and we've already talked about one of them being the Kent's living room. I would like to see better pictures.
I want that
of the Kent's
graduation
living room.
shot. I want that,
and Clark's bedroom for that matter. But I want to see a good shot of the picture on Lois's desk of her name spelled in the clouds.
Come on,
that he spelled out.
Yes,
and then took a picture of. And then I want to see the easel with, in the Hall of Justice, there is an easel with Maxwell Lord and the three Justice Gang members. Mm-hmm. It is a very cheesy looking photo, very cheesy photo. Like the way that Terrific is posed and the way that Guy is posed and even Max, and I think
it's very corporate,
kind of indifferent, very corporate looking.
Let's look at that.
It's
look at my people. These are what we need.
I want better looks at those, and that's just two of the things I've noticed in the background. That I think, of course, now everything in the planet. I'm like, I would like to see literally everybody's desk in the planet. I know.
I recently spoke with Murphy Weed, who did some scenes for helping capture the motion of Crypto, but they were also in some Daily Planet scenes as well. They stood in for a couple of Lois moments, and they shared a photograph of their computer desk. I'm not sure if they were supposed to share that photo online, because on one of the post-it notes it said, "Tomorrow, meeting with the CEO of Choco." And I was like, it's things like that. It's tiny little Easter eggs throughout the film, but as we said, we know that
it's even Choco's headquarters that gets that gets torn up by the kaiju.
So it's things like that. I think with now, it's great that we're in a position where this film is making more money, but I'm sure the powers that be want more, because that's what businesses want, and that's fine. But with the DVDs and the extended editions and the steel books, we're going to have, as we already know now, we're going to have that director's commentary. There's going to be behind-the-scenes artwork books that I've already pre-ordered.
Oh, yes. That thing looks amazing.
I think about a year ago now, James Gunn shared a photograph of all these storage boxes that have got concept ideas and designs and storyboards. I was like, well, make a book out of that.
Yes,
People
yeah,
will want to
absolutely.
buy it. This film has gotten the world talking, and people want to study it. They want to know every single thing about it. And for me, that's just like, wow, this is this is it. This is what it's
Well,
like.
And I'll say this because this is one of the first things I did say. I know I was kind of not back and forth, but and I've told both of you on this. I've said this on the air that early on, when Gunn said he was writing it, I was like, okay, and then when Gunn said he was directing it, I was like, okay, I was like, is this the right move for? Not only is he the right person, but just from the standpoint of now, headlining the DC Studios name and brand and everything, is this where attention needs to be turned right now, or should it be somewhere else? And I'm not going to say I was wrong, because I think he did a fantastic job. But whether or not, I don't think I was wrong to think that at the time.
Not at all.
Let me say
It's
that.
perfectly valid. It's like you're
I think
saying,
that was a legitimate concern early
It's
on
valid.
because of his body of work is very different than a Superman tale. Even if
Absolutely.
you include the Guardians movies, it's just a very different body of work, and he's a phenomenal filmmaker in his own right. But what I did say, and I've said on the show early on, even when I did question whether or not it should be him, not that his credentials were wrong for it, but just whether or not it should be him, I did say he is a fantastic world builder.
oh, yes.
And that is something that I will give him praise on all day long. I think he, down to where the Big Belly Burger ads go and stuff like that. Like, he is a very good at creating a world that we step into. And again, to beat a dead horse, but this is very much this, as Steve said at the outset, all these other superhero movies all the time are the ones where we get they get a glimpse into our world, or they get dropped into our world, and it's like we're dealing with the effects of Thanos, or Endgame, or the blip, or stuff like that, and we very much got dropped into their world this time around. And Gunn even talked about that at the premiere when he and Safran and Rachel and David and Nicholas came out and introduced the film. And he was very much saying, when I picked up comic books as a kid, I wasn't reading where Krypton blew up and Superman came crashing to Earth. When I opened it up, Superman was fighting a giant monster alongside Green Lantern and other members of the Justice Gang and stuff like that. He said, so that's what I wanted to tell. So it is nice to kind of see the curtain peeled back into a world of gods and monsters, that I don't feel like we're having to compete with the goings on of our own world. While there may be comparisons drawn and stuff like that, it's very much us getting to it, and it was escapism for me.
Absolutely.
To a great degree too, because it wasn't being held up to a light on other things.
Yep.
Not blatantly, at least. I mean, you could draw your own comparisons if you wished, but kindness is a concept that outlast all these things. That should be a driving force in so many different factors. So that is present and an underlying thread through the whole thing. But it was just nice to kind of be able to watch something that you felt wrapped up in a warm blanket kind of way.
Absolutely.
Yes. Perfect.
Even for the moments where we did feel where Lex did shoot somebody in the head.
Lex killed a guy.
Yeah. I saw that.
I saw that. It happened
He should lay low or something.
7 times. They didn't change it.
Lex, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You should probably find a safe house or stay with a relative. You're probably wanted for murder.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, on the phone that night, did I do the thing? I can't remember if I did the thing.
Well, did he do the things?
I don't know.
I need to know now.
So there's a moment after the Pocket Universe everybody's emptied out of the Pocket Universe, and we're on the streets of Metropolis, and people are being reunited, and get his bald ass to Belle Reve, and all that's being said, and then Crypto's chasing some things around. Do you remember that, Steve?
He's chasing the monkeys around, and
He's chasing the monkeys around, and then at one point the monkeys get on him.
No, I don't know Monkey. No, you didn't do that.
Monkeys riding dogs.
I didn't even think about that. They had monkeys
it was right
riding
there.
dogs.
It was right there.
It was right there, Steve.
Oh my gosh.
He starts flying and they start grabbing onto him and riding him up.
Yes.
Right,
Monkeys riding dogs.
right, clip it.
I did not even think about that. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh.
Right, new montage coming very soon.
Yes.
Let
Yeah.
me do the new
Yes.
edit of that, please, and thank you.
Come on down to the
Come on down to Metropolis Aftermath. and all the
Metropolis
stuff.
State Fair. Monkeys riding dogs.
Hey, I will
Just
say that-
outside Pettit B.
I will say that I've seen some people complain that Superman, once he got his power back within the Pocket Universe, didn't immediately rescue everyone. And I'm like, he couldn't. He barely got out of there alive.
Yeah, he was-
fools. What do you
He
think?
mentioned it. He wanted to.
Yeah,
but
he
was
even said
told
when he
not
gets
to.
when Lois gets him, he's like, "There's more people in there. We got to go get them." And
No,
Terrific's
you
like,
are
you got to go
completely-
lay down."
You've got quite a bit of kryptonite
Boy.
poisoning. Let's get you back somewhere safe.
Lines that you love that have stuck with you. Can you think of any? There's one line delivery that absolutely every time, and if I ever ask David this, or talk to David, I'm going to ask him this. When I absolutely love when Metamorpho's like, "Why do you still look gross?"
Yes.
Like whether he's in the cube.
It was there. The accent comes through properly then as well.
Yeah, and Superman goes, "I don't know," and to me it sounds just like Christmas Vacation. I don't know, Margot. Why do you still look so gross? I don't know,
don't know.
Margot.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I offend you so much.
I love when he, the super breath, and they pull him out, and I mean, don't talk to me about this Superman not being strong. I mean, he literally blew into a black hole and got him, Baby Joey, Rex, and Crypto out of there.
That got me. But
when he lands, when Rex lands right next to him, he's like, "You are so weird," and he's like,
He's all-
head and
he's just a
tentacles
head and
is all he is
tentacles.
at
Just
that
that.
point. And Lois is like, "Did you find him? Them."
What?
Superman, the weird flying dog, an ugly baby, and a squiggle man. What? I love Metamorpho. I absolutely, and I'm not somebody who is so up on Metamorpho that I was like I could
not
immediately
either.
go pick
No,
up
I
all of those comics.
started
and read
reading
those
a
right now.
few, and I was like, okay, this is interesting to see what we might see. And we got
Yeah.
it with the hammer and the tank at the end, and I was like, okay, we got that. That's like,
Yeah.
that is the outlandishness that you want from such a mystical character, rather than just a floating head.
What is the deal with the baby? Like,
That's comics. Baby Joey's
That's
from the
got Baby Joey,
comics.
yeah.
see, I don't know. I'm not up on any of that.
Okay.
His wife is Simon Stagg's daughter.
Who is Simon Stagg?
He's a Batman guy.
Okay.
He's a
Yeah,
Batman
and there was
villain.
the big elemental poster behind the two of them at that point as well was very nice. All
They're in
things
the
like that.
apartment.
But yeah,
Yeah.
And there several of these characters. I'm not super up on Mr. Terrific. I know kind of his main deal. I know he's super smart and he's created all this technology and everything, but that's about all I know. And I know Metamorpho has the powers, but I don't know anything about his story or anything. So it was a fun kind of like discovery to me. And like I say, just it's that thing, like you said, you went and read up on some of his stuff. It's that thing that comics are supposed to do when they're well written.
Absolutely. True Believers?
Go find out more. True Believers, Excelsior.
Yeah.
exactly.
I tell you, my favorite lines really are "What the hey, dude." I just love Superman saying "What the
Gosh
hey,
and
dude,"
golly.
and then
big,
looking
yeah.
at the robot and being like, "Robot, what do you do?" And he's like, "Well, we fed him." But he's like, he knows we're automatons. We don't care if he lives or dies.
We don't care if he lives
Doesn't
or
care whether he
dies.
lives or dies.
And then I love Ma Kent saying, "I cleaned your boots for you. I'll go get them."
Yeah.
Like it's just like time to go to work, son. It is the matter of fact Southern mom, or country mom who's just like, "This is what you got to do. This is what you
Taken over. Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's the more powerful lines, but those things are just fun to me, and I love them. What's the name of the band that he says is punk rock, but they're just radio rock that she's dogging on him?
Mighty Crap Joys.
Mighty
The Mighty
Crabjoys.
Crabjoys. What a name!
That's
Great
another thing that I love about this world building. I mean, it literally, there's a character wearing a Mighty Crabjoy shirt in Creature Commandos. There's a billboard for the Mighty Crabjoys in Peacemaker Season 2.
Yep. And now
we
there's
find out
merchandise.
they're Clark's favorite. Now there's merchandise. They've been inducted to the nominated to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I wonder who did that.
Yeah. Who would do such a thing like that? Who would do that?
We do all these events, and then we were like, okay, well, we're gonna have a day of not doing Superman because we did Superman we hadn't even got to do an episode about Cleveland. That could be a whole episode right there. But we saw Superman every day in Cleveland, sometimes more than once. So on that Sunday after the events were over for the weekend and everything, all right, we're going to go. We wanted to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the first thing you do when you walk in there, it was like, who would you like to see nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And I was like, Mighty Crab Joyce.
You breathed it into existence because now they are they are performing.
You can make a band and you can make merch for your band. You can make a logo like there on the computer when you walk in, and so like you can make it. So here.
Is it anything like their official merch now? Because just like the film, they've got merch.
I got it as close as this is before there was merch available for it, though.
Because the thing is, isn't it Peter Safran's daughter that's in the band?
It's Peter Safran's daughter and James's godson.
I think so, but the actual band members, one of them was cameos in the film because he's got a fantastic mustache.
Foxy. It was what's his name from Foxy? Shazam. I can't think of his name, but yeah. And then they actually sang it. So yeah, I made Mighty Crab Joyce stickers.
That works. Cease and desist. Right.
Thanks, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then I didn't charge for them.
That's all right. Then
So this is my folder from stuff that I still haven't gone through for.
Is that the red? Well, here's the thing, Jarek. We have the same envelope now.
I saw you got.
Yes.
I saw you got.
Yeah, Fahim sent me his tickets.
Fahim got his tickets. That's nice. So I've got mine in there, and then I've got to send you.
Go on, Steve. I see what you're doing there.
I got to send you one of those, and from
I've got
Cleveland.
a T-shirt with that on. Fantastic T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a busy week. We need to do a new podcast about that soon as well.
Yes.
That was a nice one.
They have so much to talk about Saturday's event in Cleveland too. That has got to be a Siegel
if we're doing show and tell, I'm just going to pop that into show.
Oh wow! Oh god! Oh god!
Yeah, something's coming soon, Steve.
I like that. I like that Superman statue they got in Cleveland. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does look good. It looks really good. I wish they had been able to unveil it for the movie. Selfishly because I was already in town.
Yeah, but 3 weeks afterwards, it's like, come on, guys, just a little bit more.
If that does not shows you politics, how things slow things down. Because I mean, that could have honestly been sped up a little bit for 3 weeks out, but what have you?
Oh, Steve got.
Well, I'm going to go see it 3 more times.
I picked up this. I don't have a lot of Superman action figures, but man, I picked up this Silver Age, McFarlane Silver Age Superman. I love this thing.
Gorgeous cape.
I mean, the cape, the posability, the only thing is I wish his head went up a little more than it does, but I love this thing.
Needs to look up.
And I wish that I had picked up some more of the Silver Age, what he's calling the Silver Age characters, because these things, this is right out of the 80s to me. This is my Superman. This is the Superman that was in the Superman peanut butter commercials. And everything. Did y'all have Superman peanut butter in the UK?
We have the peanut butter, just not Superman ones. Was there peanut butter on one of the Daily Planet desks?
Clark's desk has a jar of peanut butter on it. Yeah. People think it's a jar of Superman peanut butter, but it's not. It's just a jar of peanut butter.
To us it is, though.
Now, but you're not shocked when I say Superman peanut butter? Like, it was a brand.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of it, yeah. I like their marketing for it. I've got a jar somewhere.
Yeah, it was in the 80s, and it was... Like, they had commercials that were like pure cartoons, like little like almost like the Hostess ads from old comics.
It's just I think it's just a very tatty old glass jar that I've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It smells of something. It's not peanut butter, but
tatty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nice. My own pocket universe is being up there right now with bacteria. It's nice.
Yeah. Anything else we should? Anything
we haven't really.
Wanted to talk about?
Look, we haven't sung the praises of crypto really.
And I didn't get to. Yeah, we got to the end of the last episode, and I think Dane was like, "We didn't even talk about crypto." So yes, please share your crypto thoughts.
I mean, this is honestly, crypto is something that should not work in comic. I mean, in movies.
In movies, it shouldn't. It's
he
just the
should not work.
physics, everything.
He should not work in anything that is mass marketed to mass audiences. And Crypto, and this is where, and Derek, I'm like you. I completely was on board with, man, I don't know if James Gunn is the right person for this project or not. I knew that he's a capable filmmaker, capable storyteller, but I just didn't know that he was going to do Superman justice. I don't know of anyone else that could have made Crypto and made him acceptable the way that James Gunn did.
That man knows how to work some animals into movies. I'll give him that.
You know, like, I mean, he made Rocket Raccoon work, he made Groot work, he made Crypto work, and Crypto works so good because he is. I was sitting there watching that movie, and when my wife and I went and saw it, when Haley and I went to see it, I looked at her and I'm like, "You tell me that's not Gus." He is, you know, you want him to be better than he is, but he just refuses to be better than he is, and he's just
a
wild.
dog.
He's just a wild man, but at the same
very
time,
good
he's
one.
so loyal. He's so loving, and the fact that he's going after Mr. Terrific's balls all the time, or his spheres, I should say.
Circles.
The
Circles, please.
And then when Superman realizes all these cameras are seeing us and there's Crypto, he's like, "Get the toy."
Get the toy.
Oh, come on. You know, like it's great. He was just a great addition to this, and in a cool kind of doorway to Supergirl at the same time. But yeah, it should not have worked. And from the first trailer, he completely worked. You know, and well done.
Were you shocked sitting in the theater knowing that we were literally watching the trailer, like the opening moments are what we've been poring over for the past
A little bit, yeah.
however many months?
Yeah, I was a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
When it opened, you know, when it opens on the tundra, as it were, I was like, oh, this is all about to happen
Right now.
very quickly.
What's happening now is happening now.
Yes. When will then be now?
Soon.
Because that's been a big question for me is, okay, well, if we do have a pre-established Superman that's been on the scene for X amount of years at this point, now we know 3 years, a Superman that hasn't even met Lex yet, you know, their first meeting is in the office, which I absolutely love that scene. But, you know, where do we get dropped in at? And it was like, we're going to show you where we get dropped in at, right where he gets dropped in. And I love knowing that because, you know, you would think watching that trailer, you're like, oh, well, this is
Midway through.
toward the end of Act 2. You know, this is him, you know, beaten and goes back into battle. Nope, this is 30 seconds into the film proper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And tells you everything you need to know. Tells you that, you know, there's Superman robots in the fortress and all this other stuff that and you know
also the word
shows us Crypto, and
the words on the screen felt like a throwback to Superman Returns, by the way. That's all. There you go. There that is.
Yeah. No, I'd buy that.
I'll take that.
I think there's been some comparisons drawn to Watchmen that, you know, it had very much
A montage moment sort of thing going on, yeah.
well, you know, and just from a writing standpoint, that it kind of had those vibes. I've said I felt it was very Grant Morrison-esque in its own right in some ways, but, you know, it's just the kind of the poetry of it, the three repeating,
Yeah, I
you know,
know.
even
Oh, yeah,
down
yeah, that was-
even
I mean, that was
even down
really
to what's not on the screen there. We find out that he and Lois have been together 3 months.
3 months.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So everything hits to those moments, and it works out that well because you would expect him to be 30 years old. 3 years on the scene as Superman is not, you know, that he revealed himself to the world. That makes
3
sense.
decades
3
is all
hours,
that.
3 decades, 3 years, 3 hours ago.
And 3 minutes ago.
And you know, you never really think about the duration of a fight in any of these battles, because especially in film, they're, you know, they either happen fast or they start and then they start again later, 20 minutes later. And it's like, okay, well, 3 hours ago, the Hammer of Bravia showed up, so he's just been getting his ass pummeled for the last 3 hours.
1A! A1!
Luke, we were talking about how not liking people taking pictures. Now, I will say I have adored, I don't think I've ever seen so many people take pictures at a theater before. Like, I feel like I have seen nothing but of like themselves and seats in the lobby in
That's
front of
fine.
posters.
That's
like
great.
That's fine. I don't
I'm
like
okay
people
with
taking
that.
pictures of the screen.
When
I
the
don't like doing
film's
that.
playing,
don't do that.
there are cameras in theaters so that we don't do that.
Right.
But for DC Comics they've shared a few of these moments, which is that I don't get it.
So the new game, what's
Yeah.
it called? Dark Frontier?
Dark Frontier. They did that one.
Is that what it is?
Didn't they? Yeah.
They did the 1A bit, and
Did the
it's a
1A bit.
cam. It's footage
Cam
from
footage.
a video camera at the theater. I was like, okay.
So you got that straight
That's
off
interesting.
LimeWire. Interesting. They got that straight from camfootage.com. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm fine with people in their chairs doing that whole the movie
Yeah.
scene and going back. And even I recreated that, but I waited until the film had finished.
You wait until it was over.
I would never
yeah.
film the screen though, because I'd be that one person that gets caught. I'm like, no.
I don't want to film it. Now, I will say at the Cleveland screening, at our screening, I did go to the back of the theater and I took a because I wanted something that showed the room illuminated
Yes,
because
that's
it
different.
was sold out, and so I do have a picture of
Good.
of him on the screen and the light up as a result in the
Plus, you were working press
in
for
the
that,
audience.
so that's different.
I was working. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
different.
I was,
That's
I was
allowed.
hosting and working press.
Yes.
So that was all well and good, but yeah, I'm excited to be in this world. I'm excited for Peacemaker. I just went back and rewatched all of season 1 of Peacemaker this past weekend.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they take from that and put into this new series, especially
I do too.
that scene where he does that fantastic ad lib and reads off so many names. I'm sure we're going to get another scene like that again because that just went absolutely viral. I want him playing the piano more because I thought that was beautiful and just completely out of character, but also told the people of the world what John Cena can actually do, which is anything. But yeah,
Well,
I'm ready for that
Couldn't
shit.
beat Cody Rhodes last night at SummerSlam. What?
Hey, I don't know what any of that means.
It's the wrestling. Come on, boy.
I got it.
Of course you did. Facetious little man.
My complaint, my whole thing that I didn't really enjoy Peacemaker the first time around was because I was like, why are all these other characters getting stories and Superman is not? Like,
Yeah.
why? And it was not from a not enjoying Peacemaker standpoint. It was from a I'm jealous.
Where's my boy?
It's I'm Lex. I'm envious of all these other people getting their due. That the Suicide Squad gets a quote unquote sequel, and then Peacemaker gets a spinoff with Peacemaker, and we can't even get Superman back in a tail proper. But now knowing that Superman is front and center
Yes, sir.
in all of this, and that Peacemaker season 2 takes place 4 weeks after this,
Not
and
3
knowing
weeks.
what the story, is going to be, I'm very much looking forward to what they've got planned here, and how they're going to weave all this together.
The future
moving
is
forward.
very, very exciting now that we know that I think a lot of us always did have a lot of faith in what James Gunn can do, but now the fact that we've seen it and the rest of the world knows what he's capable of now, and the fact that Superman is getting so much love and recognition, as are these stories, as are all the other characters in the DC universe that maybe over the years might have been a little bit neglected and not used. Now we're in a different world now where we have so many different forms of media that if we want something from a certain character, we're going to be able to find it somehow, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that old fans are coming back out of the woodwork, new fans are coming on board. I think the only thing that has made me a little bit jealous about this film is that for some of the younger generation, David is going to be their Superman.
Right.
They're going to have that now, which is just fantastic for them. There was a young lad at our fan screening that was just excited to be there. The place was alive with electricity, and they were throwing out goodie bags and doing this sort of musical statues with this giant inflatable ball. If it landed near you, you got loads of prizes. And everyone around this kid was winning prizes and giving all this Superman swag to this lad. And this was his first experience with a Superman film. David is his first character. He came away so happy to be leaving with all these free goodies, but he's also got that moment now where, this is because of Superman. And that's going to stick with him. And hopefully through, as time progresses, he gets to enjoy more Superman stories as well, because that's all we want, is Superman to continue to have these stories. If we don't get more merchandise. We just don't get to have that excitement for the character as much as we do right now. And right now, I've never felt so much joy for Superman. It's beautiful.
And I've said, in the summers of 06 and 13, I never felt the electricity that I've felt for this. And now, obviously, after seeing it, even more so, and seeing, the legs that this thing's had.
Yeah.
The question of whether or not it was going to make $1 billion was always up for debate. I don't.
Yeah.
I hate the box office argument for anything because I feel like I have to worry about the box office, like as a fan of something. And I'm like, no, I just want to enjoy the movie for what it was. And obviously, we've seen now it's had a really good return on the weekends so far. Probably going to get somewhere around 650 when all is said and done. But then I looked, Fantastic Four had a
huge drop off.
Had a huge drop off of almost near 80% for in the second weekend.
Yeah. And
I'm not a Fantastic Four guy. I was not a huge Marvel guy as a kid. I read some, but not near to the degree that I read DC. Probably my first real introduction to the Fantastic Four outside of the 94 or 95 movie that I watched as a kid was the Owen Grufford and Chris Evans one.
Story,
so I really was looking forward to this one just from the aesthetic vibe of what they were putting it out with the 60s and the retro futuristic of it all. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the need to go back and see it again in theaters. I'll watch it again when I'm able to, but with this one, outside of, recency bias of it being Superman, I want to see this as many times in the theaters as I can because I'm not going to get that again. It'll come back to theaters again at some point. Somebody will do a screening or, what have you, but it's not going to be the same. I want to complete its run by watching it as much as I can because I enjoy it that much.
Well, this discussion has me looking at my theater right now to see what time I can get there.
There you go.
But I don't know that I don't know that I can today, but I would love to. I was talking to someone. The only other show I've done talking about this, I did Rule the Galaxy, which is a Star Wars podcast, but we talked Superman and Fantastic Four, and on that we were talking about the box office, and I said, it is 500 million because that was what it was. That's kind of where we're at right now. I said, is that a good box office these days? Knowing what all these other things had brought in before 2020. And, and the guy said, well, in these times, it sure is. And I'm like, it sure is. And I said, even if it weren't these times, it sure is. Let's stop acting like 500 plus million is a bad box office because if they can get these things down to where they're not spending 250 million to make them, then you're talking about a really good return. At the same time, you can't discount the fan and the audience response to this movie has been so positive. It hasn't really been mixed reviews. The only negativity that's out there are these people that are still just bitter, like they were part of the creative process of the Snyderverse or something, Yeah. And they're still just holding out weird hope for things, and it's like, come on, guys, let it go and let's move forward. And I know you're disappointed that the thing that you love so much didn't keep going, but that's life. And let's just, let's look at all the positives that are coming now with this thing. But I think by and large, it's got such positive vibes going forward that like it can only get better, and it can only, if they keep going, it can only be more successful if they'll just kind of keep this theme and keep these themes and these tones. You've got something that could be really special on the Superman / DC side of things for a few years to come. I don't think superhero fatigue at the movies can be discounted. I think we're kind of getting almost to the point where Westerns got way back in the day, where it's like, all right, another one. And
I mean, I get that argument, but at the same time, I think we've seen two instances this summer. Really, I would say three, because I think Thunderbolts did something differently too, that it showed. Now, obviously, the box office should make that argument, but the storytelling device as long as it's done differently. I don't think you're getting superhero. The Superman was not like anything we've had before.
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's
stories are
what I
and,
said. I
and
think
Fantastic Four was very different than anything Marvel's done.
It
Like I
was,
think,
yeah.
I think you have to approach it differently and not do the paint by numbers thing that so many of these have done previously. That's one thing I loved about early Marvel too. In those that first phase, and I guess maybe half of that second phase, was everything kind of had its own genre.
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man was like a heist movie,
Yeah.
and Winter Soldier was the geopolitical
Yeah.
thriller and that kind of thing, and then it just became very mundane in the way they were presenting these things.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think, well, we're talking Superman. We don't want to get too far afield with that. I think the thing about Fantastic Four is the look and the feel of it are very different, as far as the aesthetic goes. But when you break it down, you're still dealing with similar personalities to what they've put in all these honestly, James Gunn broke the Marvel Universe in a lot of ways because Guardians was so good and so surprising that coupled with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, everything else had to be snarky, funny, jokey, and my God, the movies nowadays, and this is across theater, this is across cinema in general, we're going to throw a classic rock song in there. We're going to throw a classic pop song in there, to
There's going to be a needle drop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's going to be a needle drop to spruce up the movie a little bit. And say what you want, that's James Gunn's fault because of Guardians 1. And it's true. It's true. The music was such a big part of that, and the humor and everything else was such a big, but that opened the door to allow you to step into this weird science fiction-y kind of thing, and it was needed, but it's not needed every time. And I think that Marvel has leaned too heavily on the James Gunn model and trying to find the next Robert Downey Jr., kind of feel kind of thing. And so let me say this then: if there's not superhero fatigue, there's Marvel fatigue, and I think the box office bears that out, if nothing else.
And I hate that because I think there's, I hated seeing, we'll close on this, but I hated seeing, I want Superman to win. I want Fantastic Four to win. They can both
Absolutely.
win. Like, there's you don't have to pick one over the other, man, and you don't have to root for the other's failure. I detest, one of the things I hate most in cynicism or just being cynical in general is rooting for something to fail, rooting for a production to fail, be it on the stage or on television or on the big screen, because you have some bias toward something else.
Right.
You're talking about people's jobs and their livelihood and how people, pay their bills, from Robert Downey Jr. to a gaffer.
Right.
Like they're
Absolutely.
across the board. So anytime I see people like, I hope this bombs, and I hope that, and it's like, this is one of the most juvenile takes you can have on something.
You're
because of
upset
the way you feel. Yeah,
that somebody else is having fun and enjoyment. Don't be upset.
Can you imagine 6 years after, in 2013, 6 years after Returns, if I had launched a boycotting campaign so that Ralph...
Can you imagine if you'd done that? And we're using Shu to do it. And I would have been like, well, Derek wants to do this. Okay, I'll go with you. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We'll do it live too.
That's right.
But I never would have been evil about it. That's the only, or not evil, but I never would have been disingenuous about it at any point. But yeah, I every time I see something, and now even seen after the drop off of F4, and people like cheering and stuff like that, I'm like, that's not.
That kind of stuff.
Just be happy for all.
Absolutely.
And if you've learned nothing else from Superman, be kind. Be kind, and that people may have a different outlook or different views on you or different things like that, and but be kind. There is no room to want something like that to fail. So, and I don't know. That's a whole other soapbox I could get on, and I won't do it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you both for coming on. You can find us online, superhouseofl.com. Or the House of L, wherever you listen to your podcast, and at Superhouse of L across social media. You can email us, mail@superhouseofl.com, and we are on Patreon, patreon.com/superhouseofl. Steve's over at the Geek Out Loud. You can find him, and of course, Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel, in his new series, Look Up.
Yes, Luke Up. It's been really lots of fun, and it's not slowing down at all. Just because, like this, I love talking about Superman. I love talking about this film. I love when we get together because you will mention things that I might not have mentioned or thought about, like Lois's necklace or a way a certain line gets delivered. So speaking with fans around the world, but also speaking with some of the fantastic people that have worked on the film, that has been an absolute honor, and lots more of that will be coming soon as well.
A good deal. Be looking for more episodes from us. I'm going to do one more of these style of episodes about Superman. We've still got a few more Summer of Superman episodes. We've got Patreon episodes. I've still got our exclusive interview with Philip Kennedy Johnson from Cleveland I've got to release. So we've got more on the horizon, and we will also be covering Peacemaker Season 2 when that hits here in a few weeks. So be watching for all those things. And at some point, we got to get back to Smallville, Steve.
At some point.
Salute to Smallville is 5 weeks away in good old Chicago.
Wow, that's true.
I like that.
Wow.
Back to the fray. Back to hosting Salute to Smallville. I'm so excited about that. Sam Jones III just got announced. I've never met
Shut
Sam
your
before,
mouth.
so Pete's going to be
Really?
there. So I'm excited to be on stage with him. I do know of one other
Is he
person.
going to say it? Is he going to say it, though?
Oh, he's going to say
He's
it.
going to say it.
One other person is confirmed, but has not been announced yet. That I'm very excited about too. So I'll wait for Creation Entertainment to announce that. But so anyway, be watching for that, and we'll be back with more. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Superb. Take care, everybody.